Hi, everybody. Recruiting Animal here on September 21st, 2022. What's with the date? Sorry. I had to avoid saying 2024. I don't know why, but anyway, I was kind of hoping no one would show up today because my back is my back is sore. So
Bye.
I brought this thing so I can I got Tim Ferriss said that this was fantastic, this back tool. So I bought it just because he said so, and I've never used it. I don't find it that great, but I got it with me. Okay, David Marr, the other invisible man, he's here as well. And of course, Gavin. Now let's see if hi Dave. Gavin is everything about recruitment.com. Am I right about that? See,
Absolutely.
I just want to prove it again. Well, let me adjust this. I don't like where my camera is. If you get a good domain name, people can remember it. His is long. I've said it before. I like repeating myself. I've said it before. His is long, everything about recruitment, but it's easy to remember. The time I forgot it, I said everything about recruiting because I'm a normal person. He's English, so he uses their kind of terminology. Normal for North America. Okay, yeah, okay. So, but everything about recruitment. If you don't own, but I'll tell you, Gavin, do you own everything about recruiting.com as well?
No.
You're stupid. You're not as smart as I'm giving you credit for. Okay, if it's available, you should buy it right now.
Yeah, maybe. I tried to buy ear.com because it's the initials, right? Everything about recruitment is ear because of course you listen when you're recruiting. The guy selling it, it's not used. Believe it or not, ear.com.
Why would you want that? .com is the best.
Yeah, ear.com.
What is it?
Nobody's using ear.com. Ear.com.
Ear.com. Well, that's a one-word domain name. You can't get those. They're like for millions of dollars.
200,000.
That's all. Oh, it's a great deal. Okay, look, everything. I always remember when George Bush ran for. Sorry, I'm going on about this. George Bush ran for president. They bought up every Bush domain name you can think of. I remember bushsucks.com. His own team bought it. Okay, they were smart. That was smart. They were smart. Anyway, let me go on.
Pretty expensive there if you're going to buy them all.
Okay, I just suggested one. Don't try to sneak out of it that way. Big question. The Wall Street Journal had a question. I'll get to the other introductions because I've wasted a lot of time already. Okay, I'll get to you, Ivan, hiding out there. Okay, the Wall Street Journal had an article this week. Is a bra a shirt? Okay, it says that since the pandemic, it has become fashionable to wear a bra as a shirt, and they are being designed for that purpose. Would you accept your candidate going to an interview in a bra? Gavin first.
No, that's just weird. I thought people just stopped wearing bras and only the shirt.
No, okay. They wear these bras. Like I think Madonna's been wearing them for a million years. Okay,
the long pointed one like that.
No, I don't know if they're that fancy. They had pictures of them in the paper. Wall Street Journal, everybody, a business newspaper. Okay, Ivan. One more question. How would you know if your candidate was showing up for the interview or the Zoom in her bra or not?
The client would let me know pretty quickly.
Yeah? Well, what if it was a man in a bra? You could accuse him of being a transphobe.
That doesn't happen that much around here.
Ivan, your candidate shows up for the interview in a bra. Yes or no? What would you do? He's not there. Dave, do you want to comment?
I think different industries have different rules. I can tell you where I'm at currently.
Yeah, see how people sneak out of this? Go ahead. Tell me where you're at, Dave.
Where we're currently is a tech company. And in the tech company, the culture tends to be more open. So people wear a variety of things. Like our CEOs and senior leadership wear like T-shirts as an example.
Yeah.
But we haven't had any bizarre situations where things were questionable like that. But I would imagine if somebody did that, that it would be fine in
Okay,
our
so
department.
Bra, you classified it as questionable, but okay, so tech, if someone's just doing programming, they don't really care what you wear. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
because a good majority of our workforce works remotely anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay, yeah, but we're actually talking about when someone is going to see you, either online or in
Yeah,
person.
what I'm saying is if
Okay.
it was a meeting or an interview, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, I
don't-
mean, if I'm not wearing any pants and you can only see me from the shoulders up, it doesn't make any difference, okay? But if I went to an interview without anything, okay? Now, actually, in Ontario, we had a court case many years ago, actually. It's legal to go topless, no matter what your sex is here, okay? So, but I don't know if they would accept it in an interview. Okay, let me move on. Mark Cuban's key to success. Everybody knows who Mark is. He's a famous big mouth, okay? He says practice creates improvement. Improvement creates results. Results create passion, okay? So his idea is if you practice, you're going to get good at something, and when you're good at something, you like doing it and you're going to make money, okay? But I had to wonder, if you don't have a natural talent, can you ever become good at anything? No matter how much you practice, you won't even enjoy it. He claims that if you practice and get good, you enjoy it, okay? And it's self-generating. Gavin, you teach people how to be recruiters, okay? So if you don't want to answer this, I'll let you back out, okay? But are there some people who are never going to be good, they're never going to enjoy it, and they should just go into something else?
Yes.
Do you tell them that? No. That's the answer.
No, because I was just thinking, because it depends of the level. Some people are so all over the place. You can't get them to just focus on one little thing, so they won't even learn that little thing. And yet recruitment is so many things. And I will tell them that. I'll say, look, if you don't even get to master this thing, forget all the rest. So that I will be quite clear.
You're talking about someone who's got attention deficit disorder, but that's supposed to be an asset in this business.
Not only that, for example, one of the things that I see a lot.
What's that, some kind of Italian thing? Buzz off, recruiting animal.
I'm going to shave. This is
Yeah. I didn't shave either.
But
off with his head.
Yeah.
But no, the thing is this. A lot of people are frightened of certain things. For example, picking up the phone. For example, taking new approaches. For example, talking to certain kinds of people. And you can't get them to really concentrate on this. And that the whole rest is finito.
Okay. Now, I didn't mention immediately, he's a trainer, all about recruitment, everything about recruitment.com. Okay, so he's a trainer. If you like what he says, look that up. David M. Marr, M-A-R-R, is a corporate recruiter. He sounds like a smart guy, but he's not smart enough to get a domain name and point it to his LinkedIn address, okay? That's what you should do. He's not a regular enough that I do it for him, okay? Klang.so, it sounds like he disappeared already, but he is an IT recruiter in Switzerland who has so much time on his hands, or he's just such a genius, he created his own applicant tracking system. Klang.so. SO, what does that stand for? That SO as a suffix in the domain names. Okay. Anyway,
so I hope not.
David M. Marr, did you want to comment on the, practice makes perfect, and if you practice, you can be a great recruiter, and you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to work real hard because nobody walks away from something they enjoy. Any comment, Dave? You can do. You don't have to.
Sure. I think that when I was in agency recruiting, sometimes
it doesn't have to be agency. You can talk about corporate as well.
Well, I mean, a lot of people get their start in agency recruiting on the corporate side. So I think that if somebody had certain characteristics that I saw in them that would be promising, or like they had the potential, like a high potential to be successful. I would get them.
You're boring me. Forget it. You're killing me. Forget it. Okay. I've got these 10 short rules of recruiting. Okay. Now I replaced one of them, Donna, who I thought was fantastic recruiter. I don't know. I think let's get into that in a minute, but she left recruiting. She went back to teaching. But so we live and die by the phone. I took that out. Martin Snyder from PC Recruiter, he suggested one that I picked up. Talk isn't cheap. Guard your time. I think that's a good one. What do you think, Gavin? You're teaching people.
Absolutely. It's all about using your time to the best possible effects, being productive, getting the highest return on investment. Absolutely.
Okay, well,
Good
how do you
word.
do any tips on how to do that? Off the
How
top of
many
your
hours
head.
have-
You can say,
how
no,
many
I don't
hours
know
have you got?
anything. I can't think of anything. I mean, you know what? If we just say time isn't, time is important, everybody knows that, right?
I'll give you one tip, and it's probably the most important. And that is, and this is not only valid for recruitment, it's valid for everybody. But in recruitment, you use this. Throughout the whole day, you ask yourself 10, 15, 20 times, is what I'm doing right now going to help me make that placement this month?
Okay, I saw you posted something the other day that I thought was completely insane. The guy's, he lives in Belgium. His daughter is at school or something like that. She got sick. He had to go pick her up. And then he comes home and says, I lost 3 hours. How can I regain that time? Was that just a fun question to get people suggesting things, or are you so kooky about time and obsessive that you freaked out about it?
That's very true. 3 hours. You can do so much in 3 hours.
He works for himself. You're freaking out about 3 hours of time. Come on.
Whether I work for myself
Okay.
or for a company, it doesn't make any difference. I mean, purely in recruitment side, you can make dozens of calls in 3 hours time.
Okay, yeah. Moving on. Dave, do you want to comment on that? You can comment. I don't have to ask you every time. You can just stick your nose in yourself.
Nothing to say.
Oh, really? You're working inside a company. Aren't there tons of people who abuse your time? They want to chat, and stupid hiring managers so want to have you in meetings.
I mean, I work from home, so I plan my time out. And if I need to
Don't
go,
pretend that work from home excuses you from meetings. I understand
no,
that.
I'm in meetings all the time. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, you plan around it and you structure your time. Now, if you had to do a meeting like while picking up your kid or something, that would be confusing or a challenge.
Okay. I have a problem sometimes when friends or relatives call me and they are long talkers, right? I gotta go, Sometimes I finally say that, gotta go. Okay, so this guy said, I do mostly construction recruiting. Right now, I'm using, he's got a problem getting contact information. And so he wants to know what contact information finding tools he should use. This is a standard question, but his was a little different. He's already using Lead Rocks, LEADROCKS. I've never heard of it. Seek Out, I know well, and Kendo, KENDO. He said, even with that, I'm only getting 30 to 40% of the contact info I'm after. Okay. Tom, our good friend, said Sales QL has worked great for me. And when all else fails, Being Verified, BEEN, verified, VERIFIED. Okay. If you can't find a number with Being Verified, you're SOL. I won't tell you what that means. Okay. So, and somebody else, Irina, who's a sourcing genius, she recommended as well, Sales QL, which really caught my eye. Anybody else does anybody here use Sales QL?
I use Sales QL all the time. I would add a few others to the list. Hire Easy, Lucia, Rocket Reach, and I'm trying to think of the other one. Oh, Swordfish.
Oh, you use all of those, right?
Yes, but they have, so a lot of those tools, they have what are called like freemium models where
Yeah.
you use it
Mhm.
for certain limited features, or you have like access to everything by paying for a license.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a way for you to try it before you buy it, if you will. But a lot of them you can still use even if you'll never buy them.
Okay. I have to compliment you on your sound. He's got good sound, doesn't he, Gavin?
He does, yeah.
We can't see him, but I can hear you. Okay.
Because my
So does
bandwidth
that mean that
sucks
my
and all.
sound is not very good?
Yours is good, but it's echoey. His is very good, which
My
is
bandwidth
I'll
at
connect
home.
my
is bad.
microphone next time.
yeah, don't worry, Gavin. You're not bad. Last time we had an issue with one of our regulars. Okay. The thing is, what Dave just said, Rich Rosen, number 11, he also endorses. He said one of them is not good. You have to use 6 of them or 5 of them in order to, generate what you need. One contact management tool or information seeking tool is not good. Although if Irina is recommending SQL, I would give it a serious look. Is that what you think is the best one right now, Dave?
So SalesQL, a lot of people use because it gives you like 100 free lookups.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people use that
That's
first.
not a lot if you're a recruiter. 100's not
Well,
much,
I
is it?
think that's a freemium model. So if you pay for it, you can get even more. But
Yeah, I
SalesQL
understand if you pay for it. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Can I just ask, David, does this mean that you don't pay for any of these tools, or do you have a budget for that?
So the company I work for only pays for Gem, which is one of them. The rest of them are all freemium that I use.
Okay, someone actually is another issue with a mailing tool, and someone recommended Gem. We'll come to that after. Michael G. Cox, who I miss, he was a regular here for years, and now his wife is ill and he's unable to come, I guess. But anyway, he used a term, sales finesse. And I took him to task for that because I didn't know what it meant and he couldn't define it either. Okay, so now I read an article about it and I posted that article, but Tom Tuna, our friend, came back with something better. Does anyone want to say anything about sales finesse before I go on? Gavin, do you know what it means? No,
I know what it
I can
means,
see.
but
No,
I'd love to
this
hear
is what a
your,
recruiter, when you ask someone a question, when you do a reference check, especially, and you say, hey, was Joe fun to get along with? Silence. That means no. That means no. And that's what Gavin just did. Okay. Let me think about it.
I've just unplugged. I've just unplugged my laptop and had to increase the brightness because I couldn't see anymore. But no, I actually use the word finesse in my training.
Where do you use it? Explain it.
Everything to do with how you're dealing with relationships. It's all about, I actually use 2 words. I use finesse, and I say to recruiters, you're going to be suave, which I don't even know if people use that word anymore. But it's all about the little details, about it being fine, about it being a seamless process, about feeling cajoled.
Okay, so you've got a sense of what it means, but you can't define it. Obviously, you didn't say suave means this, finesse means this. Okay, but I'll tell you what sales finesse means. It means you're preparing the candidate, in this case, psychologically, to buy, okay, or to work with you. But now the article I read said there's 3 steps. One, make the offer, the candidate says, I'm uncertain, I need a few days. And so you use empathy or sympathy and you say, oh yeah, lots of people are uncertain when they get an offer. I myself have had that experience. So you empathize, you endorse them. And then you say, what exactly is it that you're uncertain about? That's the key question. It's kind of like a sandwich, so they're vague. This guy, these people, they don't even know what is bothering them. So you try to get them to clarify it in their own minds for themselves. And then what's his final thing is, I can't remember. I have to look it up. I can't remember what it was. It was something innocuous, okay? But the main point for sales finesse was you make them clarify their uncertainty, and then you can handle it as an objection. Don't let them give you some vague statement. Essentially, that's what sales finesse meant to this guy. But Tom Tuna said, prepare the candidate psychologically, not after they get the offer, at the beginning, okay? And these are the 4 questions you have to ask them. Right from the start, are you ready to move if I find you something, okay? Do you know what a good offer looks like? What's your commitment level to leaving? And number 4, how can your current employer keep you? I think those really sum it up. They might not give you an answer, okay? And here's what he said. Take notes and then remind them about these things later on when they waffle. I know that's a standard approach, but it's a very good one. And I think he summarized it very well. Gavin, you must teach something like that. Would you call it sales finesse?
Oh, I hadn't used that word, but I definitely teach that. Yeah.
Okay, so you do it at the beginning of the relation. Do you ask them all those questions? Are you ready to move?
Well, I actually ask it several times because don't forget, I build my relationship with candidates very early on. But when I
Okay.
do get a requirement in and I discuss it with them, one of the questions that I always ask is, what would it take for you to commit?
What do you mean? You haven't
What would
sent
it
them out
take
for an
for
interview
you
yet. You're just
to-
talking to them on the phone. Hey, Betty,
No, no,
I've
no,
got
no, no,
this
no.
job.
No. You're continuously closing the whole way across along the process. You're closing. So you're finding out what it is that would make them commit to something. So,
So
for
hold
example,
on.
one of the
You're
things
calling,
that I
okay,
always say,
you know Betty, okay? Betty, or Bill, whatever you want, or friends, or whatever name is common where you are. And you say,
Yeah.
look, I'm working on this position. I know you well. I think it might be a good match for you. And then you say, what would, if you went out for an interview, like, what would it take for you to commit? Is that what you say right off the bat?
yeah. So what I'd probably do is do it in two steps. The first step would be commit to the interview, and then afterwards commit to the job.
What do you mean commit to the interview?
Well, loads of people, you come up with an opportunity, then there's an interview, but they've got several things on the go, and then they say, oh, I'm not going to bother doing the interview. And I always say to them, well, if you don't do the interview, you don't have enough information to be able to make up your mind as to, is there something interesting, yes or no? So they've got to commit to the interview.
Okay, so I wouldn't call that commit to the interview. I'd say, like, are you crazy? You're selling them on the interview, on the value of going out there, even if they're not really looking. So you're just dealing, that's your
No,
way of
these
dealing
guys are
with the,
looking.
I'm
You've got to
happy
make
where
sure
I
they're
am.
looking. Don't forget
Well-
your first 4 questions that you said. One of them is, are you ready to move? They said yes. So then you tie them into the interview.
Okay, Dave, you want to comment?
The way I was trained, ABC, always be closing. And I think similar to what you said, very important and crucial to get the motivations on the very beginning part of the process and just keep them reminding them of that. And then before you extend offers, do the takeaway and prepare them for a counter offer and explain, there was an article that we used to send out when I was an agency to candidates that explained like how when they take a counter offer that most people, it's just buying the company time to backfill their position. And usually those people end up leaving those roles anyway, because they weren't happy in the first place.
Now, the thing is, what's your commitment level to leaving? That doesn't work for a passive candidate. If somebody's not looking, I'm happy where I am, and you sell them on going out for the interview, say, look, you don't know until you go for an hour and have a chat or a half an hour, and you'll find out if it's worth pursuing. You can't ask at that point, what's your commitment level to leaving? They don't have any commitment level to leaving. That doesn't make sense in that case. If it's an applicant, that's a different story. Okay, anybody want to disagree with me about that?
Yeah, because then my question would be, would you actually be putting that person forward if their commitment level is so low that you're the one that might end up with egg on your face towards the
I'm
client?
used to begging people. They're not looking. I'm calling up people who aren't looking. And, I say, well, just go out there and have a chat. And you might learn something from them. What's the money? You know what? I can give you a vague idea what I'm searching on, but it's hard to say, if they really like you and they need to pay more, they might. It's not too common, but it has happened. Okay. So, I'm begging lots of times. I'm begging people to go out and take a look at a job. That's there. Don't you get the I'm happy where I am issue, Gavin?
Of course, but if you look at the whole recruitment process, what you're doing is you're breaking down loads of little things, and there might need to be, and I'm just giving figure that, it might need to be 20 things for your candidate to commit, right? And those 20 things, you're going to already have maybe 12 or 14 already sorted out that they do want to move if the money's right, they do want to move if the company's right, they do want to move if the job's interesting. And if all these things are already ticked, then you're going to go, now it's worthwhile.
Okay, so you turn them, actually what you did was turn them around then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Are you ready to move if I find you something? So your thing is, what would it take to interest you in a new position? So once you have that established, then you say, you know, if I could get you that, how strong would your level of commitment be? Okay, that's sort of what you're saying. Okay, and what about when you fulfill everything they said at the beginning, and then they waffle, as Tom said at the end? Now he said shame them. He said shame them. So I was kind. I left that out, but he meant really, you know, get tough with them. Look what you told me. I've got that for you. What's the problem now? I don't know. He's saying it like that, but that's what I assume. Have you ever had the situation where you get everything they want and they're not willing to accept on the spot?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Okay, well, why don't you tell me the story?
Basically, the candidate had multiple interviews going on, and the client that we were representing was not at the top of their list, and that's why they pretty much didn't take it, or didn't even consider it, because it wasn't even competitive based upon the other offers they received.
You know, Dave, is there a problem? Your sound is good. Do you have a problem with your headphones, your hearing? Because you didn't answer the question, okay? I said, if you actually get them what they want, okay? And then you said, well, no, mine wasn't even worth considering. That's not what I asked you. Did you ever get them exactly what they wanted and then they balked?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, to use a company's example, right? They, in their mind, they want to work for a top employer in the tech space, and we get them into a company that's considered a top, but it's not the top necessarily, and that's why they took the top offer, not our offer.
They did get a better offer, a better company. So you were competing against. You were beat. Okay. Hi, Sasha Tesanovic. She's it looks she's in a police lineup today. Okay, it looks like. Okay. This is a girl who takes phone calls from candidates at midnight. Okay, just so everybody knows, she's on a far away from us.
On a different time zone, right?
Different time zone, yes. Gavin, okay, do you want to tell us a story? You've had lots of time to think. Although I don't want you giving away all your secrets. Although I will tell you, who said this? I read somewhere that, oh yeah, I know where, the knees over toes guy. I love him, okay? He's such a good presenter on YouTube. He had bad knees and he solved his problem, and now he's teaching everybody else. His name's Ben Patrick, the knees over toes guy. He's very famous right now, okay? He said he discovered that the way to do good marketing is to give out your best ideas for free. Right away, they're going to be so impressive that people will buy the rest of your package because they think it's going to be even better. But in fact, they've already got the best thing. I'm not saying that the rest of his package isn't good, but he gives you his essential exercises right at the front. He tells you his story right at the front. And it's so impressive. You say, yeah, I really want that. So see, Gavin is a trainer, and I'm worried. I don't want him to give away too many secrets for free. People might not come and pay him. But then I remembered what Ben Patrick said. So maybe if he gives away some really good things, people will say they'll start panting for the rest. So you do whatever you think is right. I will not be afraid to ask you questions, okay? Because I get inhibited very easily. Gavin, have you ever?
Secret. I'm going to tell you about a real thing that happened to me. So I had a guy, this is a developer, and he wanted to earn 700 a day, and there were certain conditions and types of project and blah, blah, blah. And I got him all that. And he goes, this is about a week later, he goes, I'm not going to take it. And I was like, why? He had been approached for something completely different, something he'd never done before, but they needed his expertise. And actually, it wasn't going to help his career, but they were paying him 1,100 a day, and that was him gone. Couldn't compete. 700, 1,100 a day.
Okay, so yours is the same as David Marr. Somebody else came in with something that just wiped you guys off the map. My idea was that you recruiting. I don't think in terms of multiple offers. Maybe I'm thinking you get the person what he or she is looking for. You're not competing against companies that are, you can't really compete with them. And so then what the person really gets is cold feet. They want to stay where they are. Okay. That's the issue.
I've got another one that happened. This is even maybe more interesting. This is a guy that I went through the whole process. And then I said, look, they want to take you on board. I'll have the final green light this afternoon. Can you commit? Again, can you commit? He goes, yes, get me the offer, send it by mail. I'll get back to you at the latest tomorrow morning. The next morning, he comes back to me and he says, I'm going to have to refuse it. And I'm like, why? He goes, now this is before COVID. So this is when people were moving on site all the time. He had to go from one country to another. And his wife said, I don't want you away so often anymore. I want you at home all the time. He wasn't allowed to go away.
How come he was talking to you about that then without knowing in advance his wife's position? That seems strange to me.
I don't want to go into marriage counseling. I'm going to stay a recruiter.
No, but a recruiter says, don't you? They usually say, look, there's relocation involved. And right at the start, they say, is that okay with your family? I mean, because I've had that too, where the kids say, I don't want to change schools and et
Oh, no, the
cetera.
family stays there. So this is a guy based in Switzerland. You have to go to
Okay,
Paris.
yeah, so he was
Monday
traveling,
morning, back
okay,
Thursday.
yeah, okay. You didn't ask him if that was okay with his family at the front.
Oh, he'd just done that loads. But now his wife sort of stepped in going,
Okay,
"It's
you
good
made
enough."
an assumption that wasn't very good for you. That's what happened. Sasha, do you want to say something? I haven't asked you any questions yet. No?
No,
Did you
I'm
offer
still
to get?
listening.
Did you offer to get him a new wife,
And new kids? Yeah.
kids, whole
What a
family?
more
Right there.
money in Ernie.
Yeah, you'll be a full recruiter. I mean, that's a full thing.
Foodindustryrecruiter.com. Ernie Moreno, welcome back. Okay,
Cutting edge.
here's a guy. I'm going to come back to Tom's sales finesse maybe next week, okay? Because I find that interesting. Okay, don't rush offer acceptance. I don't like pushing a candidate into hasty decisions. It increases the chances that she's going to change her mind. I leave her to finish her other interviews. It usually doesn't take longer than 2 weeks. That way I lose a few in the offer stage, but not later. He got some people agreeing with him, but most said he's crazy. Okay, anybody want to talk about that? 2 weeks, giving them 2 weeks to make up their mind if they want the job. Ernie, you just came. You want to say something?
No, I'm just saying you got to control what you can control. So she can either say yes or no, and at the end of the day, she's going to do what she's going to do. I could tell you right now, I'll take the job. 2 weeks later, I'll take another one if there's a better one coming along.
No, she hasn't made up her mind. How long are you going to give that candidate to make up her mind?
As long as she needs, because it doesn't do me any good to get a yes when she's still thinking.
Okay.
And
well,
then
someone said
the
that's
old
not.
line, but the old line is candidates lie. And she'll tell you, if she's smart, she'll say, yeah, sure, I'll take it. And then 2 days later say, you know what, I took another one.
Mhm.
I had a similar situation that happened just yesterday. We were expecting to receive an offer letter signed, and the candidate confirmed that she will send the document signed by the end of the day. And what happened in the end of the day was that I heard from our hiring manager where she said directly to him that she accepted a counter offer from her current employer. And that wasn't even a question, because
What do you mean it wasn't a question? Did you ask her?
I did. And she was firm in her decision. She said that she would like to go.
No
into
fucking way. I'm not staying in this dump. Is that what she said?
Something
No,
like that, but in a different
not
language.
in those words, but yeah, she gave out the confidency and the straight decision, but yeah, that wasn't the case.
Okay. Yeah.
When
I just
when
want
you
to.
put it like that, do you think somebody's going to say, no, I didn't?
I'll be right back.
Okay. But you know what? Some people said, look, this isn't fair to your other candidates. If you've got more than one candidate, I mean, what about the other people? They have to wait 2 weeks till this jerk makes up her mind. Does anybody else want to comment on that? And they also say, what they say, okay, you're asking other companies to come in and take her away from you, right? You're just, go ahead.
Go ahead, Gavin.
No, it's just, it's wrong on so many levels. I mean, TKD, time kills deals. If you give people time, things are gonna happen to mess that deal up.
That's true.
Close it as fast as possible.
Okay, but the thing is, if they close it when they're uncertain, they're going to leave, just like Ernie said. That's what this guy's concern is. He wants them to be fully committed, like not uncertain when they accept the job.
Again, across the whole recruitment cycle, you're closing. If you start closing right at the end, you don't know the person. You don't know what motivates them. You don't know how many boxes have been ticked. If you're closing across the whole cycle, you know pretty well what the situation is. So it's just that little push extra for them to actually
Okay,
sign.
let me come back to you, Gavin. Hold on. So then you've asked them 100 times. Are you in? Are you still interested? Is this enough money? Do you like this guy? Is there something wrong? So you're doing that the whole time, taking a temperature check, and then you come with the offer, and she says, I'm not sure. I need a little time to think about it. Do you come right in and say, what's there to think about? We talked about everything 100 times already. Is that what you do? Are you in their face like Tom says you should be?
You know, that kind of psychology very much is adapt to your audience. So it depends on the person. If I feel it would help, yes. If I feel it would not help, no. You really got to adapt. But the real question for me is,
I like that. I like that. You can't see my hand. Yeah, I like what you did with your hand. Go ahead.
The whole question is along the whole thing. What? Yeah, sorry, I'm very.
I like it. Come on,
It
we're
must be
visual
my
here.
Italian blood that I don't have, but you know. But across the whole cycle is, if you've been asking the right questions, if you've been really close to your candidate, it should come as a massive surprise if suddenly they say, oh, I'm not sure. And then you got to question what's underlying her indecision. And that's what you're not going to be really pushing and getting angry or using the emotional part of whatever it is to get a commitment. You're going to try and really dig deep and understand what is frightening them.
Okay, just so that's the sales finesse where you try to get them to clarify what's bothering them, right? Just like we talked about. So what would you say to her exactly? In your style, you said it would depend. So if she's a normal person, you wouldn't confront her in the way Tom would. What would you say to her? Just,
Well,
what is it? What's bothering you?
Understand. So hi, what was her name? Betty?
Yeah.
Hi. Did you say Betty? Hi, Betty.
Yeah, I did say Betty. Yeah.
Hi, Betty. So can I just understand it? What is it that is now making you hesitate? Because for the last 3 weeks, you've been really motivated, really interested. Now you've got this option. Now this company says that they're interested in you. I'm guessing you don't want to lose the opportunity because, of course, there are other candidates in the pipeline. What is making you hesitate?
Okay, now I think this is where that guy's concern is. Betty doesn't want to feel that you're just trying to push her in there so you get a fee, okay? How do you reassure her of that? You have to, I think that's important.
Don't forget, Animal, I work with people who know me. So these kind of things, this is the advantage of working a niche where people know you.
Okay.
This kind of thing, they know that you're there for their best interest. They know that you're not just that recruiter trying to get his commission at the end of the month.
Okay, let me check with David.
He didn't answer the question.
Yeah, he kind of did. He did a hand gesture and got out.
I am the answer to the question with my approach.
Maybe you don't know his backstory. He has he believes in getting a very thin niche in which you actually know all the people, right? So they trust him. He tries to know their kids' birthdays, just like Rich. Their favorite food. Oh, this is the wine you like, isn't it? I just had a glass yesterday. David Marr, do you want to comment with your great sound?
I missed.
Oh, you're sleeping. Okay, yeah, it's okay.
What's going on?
You don't have
Sorry.
to wake up for the Recruiting Animal Show. Does anybody else want to say something?
I was going to say what it also borders on is not only the candidate, but the client and your credibility with the client. Because that's my biggest concern with whenever something like that happens.
What do you mean?
Well, the the client's going to say, I want this person. We got him. You presented him. And then all of a sudden he's backing out, the candidate.
Yeah.
The client's going to say, what the heck happened? I thought we had this guy.
They're going
And
to
then-
blame
and
you.
then
They're going to say, you're not controlling your candidate.
You don't know. Yeah, you don't know what you're bringing. Am I wasting my time? Exactly. You know, all that other stuff. When they, first of all, cannot find their own candidate because they wouldn't have been paying you. But yet, and they don't understand the market.
Okay, is it finally that we're beating this one to death, but it's an important one. Is it a red flag if you've got somebody that you've been bringing along in a rational way, like Gavin suggests, you know, doing the pre-closes all the way through? Is everything okay? Are you still interested? Do you have any concerns? And then at the last minute, they pull that on you. Is that a red flag for the company? Don't hire this person.
It's a red flag for the company, the recruiter, to be careful.
No, the recruiter's done everything he can. I mean, I'm going to trust that Gavin has really screened her 10 times maybe, okay, on this. And now she pulls this. And are you going to try to reel her in? Or are you going to say, look, if she's like this, and it could be a man, every time I try to include women, I get saying, oh, why are you including women? I got that this week, okay, on my group. If this guy is showing that he's kind of fickle, or, you know, he's unpredictable, do you want to place you? Don't you say, Bill, you're making yourself look a bit unreliable. I don't know if I should move forward. Do you do a pull away at that point? Is that what you should do and be very serious about
Yeah.
it?
I think takeaway is the proper approach in that situation.
Okay. Would you, David, will you consider that the candidate has shown a side of himself or herself that you're not very happy with, and you wonder if they're really going to pan out to be a good hire?
Yeah, 100%.
Would you tell her that? Say, look, I don't know about you anymore.
If somebody, you know, says one thing and then last minute backs out, and then there's not unless they have a good reason, right? Which does happen on occasion. They're just flaky, and usually they're just playing you against another offers or things like that. I've had it where some candidates that we had in process were interviewing with us, but they were only doing that so they can go back to their current employer and get a raise.
Yeah. Okay. That was a term that if you leave somebody for 2 weeks to make up their mind, you're inviting them to shop themselves around, to use your offer to shop themselves around to other companies. I like that term, shop himself around,
But then at the same time, as a recruiter, you probably want to send in other candidates. You know, this person's waiting 2 weeks. Here's a
okay,
few
well,
other
that was the
candidates.
point. The person said, somebody said it's not fair to the other candidates. And so you say, okay, you take your time, but you might lose the position by then because I
Yeah,
might.
here you go. And then you tell them, and then you go back to the client and you say, I want you to interview these guys because I'm not sure about the other one. And it sounds a little screwy.
Okay.
But actually, Ernie, I would say that you've got to do that in any case, in all situations, because you always need to have your plan B.
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
So
You're right.
if you're looking at, you know, as a recruiter, what are we trying to do? We're trying to fill a role. And whichever person you put into that role, that person is going to be helped. So if you've got a role, you're going to be submitting, let's say 3 candidates. Either of these 3 should get the role. And it's going to be your 3 and not from the competition.
Yes.
So along the whole process, I'm pushing my client to make sure that they see the pros and the cons of each one, because there always are pros and cons.
But at times after say one interview, they look at all 3, they like one better than the other, and they say, I want to interview this one, and they fall in love with that one candidate, and they don't interview the other ones. What I'm saying is you go back to them and remind them that you've submitted a couple, and let's go through the whole process and not just stop there. Which is
in my world of placing freelancers, there's only one interview.
In your what world of
In my world of placing freelancers, there's only one interview.
One interview with, you have 3 candidates you submit, there's only one interview, and that one interview gets a job. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
There's
a few organizations that do 2, but it's very rare. Don't forget.
Have you ever had a candidate pull out on you and say, I'm taking another job?
Of course.
Given that, what do you do?
Well, that's why you make sure that all three candidates have had their interview, not just the one, not just the
Okay,
best.
I have a question though, like that. I have psychological problems. Okay, I feel bad if I have a candidate who's the best candidate and he or she pulls out, as Ernie said, at the last minute. I feel like I'm trying to palm off second-rate goods when I bring the next candidate forward. Don't you guys feel that way?
What Gavin is saying though is all three of them should be interviewed.
Yeah, but they're not equally good. They're choosing the best one, and all of a sudden they can't get her. So now you
But
want them to
Animal-
take someone, the second guy, the second-rate person.
Yeah, but Animal, just a question here, because if you're feeling that, you know, emotionally you're not giving the right candidate to the client, how can you say that if that first candidate was actually such a procrastinator that once they, or if they did get the job with the client, they would actually be very ineffective because they'd procrastinate in
Okay,
their
yeah,
job.
but let's say technically or in some other way, that's the person. Just like Ernie said, they fell in love with her. You fell in love with her. You want to place the best person, but now you're in the position of placing the second best and taking the same amount of money, the same fee or whatever. Maybe it's different for David at the corporate level. I don't know. Dave, do you want to comment on that? Would your hiring manager say, look, you lost the first candidate. I don't know if I want the second-rate one. Is that an issue for you, Dave?
No, I don't think that applies on the corporate side versus agency,
Well, because of the fee?
because they want to fill their roles, and whether the candidates A, B, C, as long as they are, you know, qualified to do the role and
As
they've
long as they
interviewed
got
well.
an ass in the seat, that's okay. They don't care about
I
the
wouldn't say
quality of the
it that way.
candidate.
I wouldn't say it that way, but yes, in recruiting, that's what we do, but asses in seats.
Okay.
David, do they ever get on you, the hiring managers, for you not properly screening them? How come you didn't know that they were going to leave or take a counteroffer?
No, I don't think that really applies on this side of the house, at least where I'm at today. In other industries that I've recruited in, yes, but a lot of times the hiring managers aren't used to, or there isn't like a company-wide standard, like best practices, and the managers haven't gone through the training, so they're usually like doing things their own way and kind of running rogue within the company. So, in those
You know,
situations-
I just got to say, I think he's doing himself a disservice, in my opinion, by just being a disembodied voice, because we all work for ourselves. But he's actually, you know, someone could say, I saw this guy on the Recruiting Animal Show and I'd like to hire him. But, you know, he's just an angel or something like that, talking from the clouds. Yeah, maybe, you know, maybe that's better, you know. Well, watch your face. Before
Maybe that's not really David.
yeah, okay. Yeah. He sounds the same, but we've heard a lot. We've heard many cases this year of since work from home has become a thing of people, one person interviews, somebody else takes the job, right? You've heard about that.
that has been happening in the tech industry for a very long time.
Uh-huh.
Since I got into it almost 20 years ago.
You mean somebody else interviews and then somebody else shows up?
Yes, especially when you're talking like freelance contract placement, they'll have somebody that is recently trained, that is the person that shows up after the person that's experienced that actually does the work, maybe at another place, does the interview.
Okay, and there's no how do they expect to get away with it on the basis of facial recognition?
Because usually, well, sometimes what they'll do is they'll have, let's say that person that's the person that recently trained in it, they'll have that person actually be doing the interview, but somebody in the room with them will be feeding them the answers.
Can you say it a little louder? I got this answer. Okay, isn't that all going to be obvious?
Not
Yeah,
necessarily.
what should I say now? Okay. Is our good friend Iwan still here, or Ivan? I don't know how it is. After all this time, I still don't know how he properly.
I won.
No, are you sure it's Iwan? I think the W is a V in Europe. Am I right, Gavin?
It's more
Gavin,
positive.
Jones?
There's many languages in Europe, but I would say Ivan.
Okay, Ivan. That's what we call him. Is he still here? Okay, no. But this actually came. Ivan said he was so happy. He got on the phone with this candidate and the guy was extremely rude. Okay. But then when the guy, he didn't hang up on him. And when he heard that Ivan seems to know what he's talking about. He apologized profusely, apparently, because he liked Ivan's knowledge. Okay, so lots of people said that you got to warn your hiring manager about this guy. Yeah, it's nice that he apologized to you, but he shouldn't have been rude in the first place. Other people said, well, there's all kinds of lousy recruiters calling him, and he expects you to be just a pest as well. And so he had every reason to be rude at the beginning. What does everyone think? Would you warn the hiring manager, this is a good candidate, but his behavior's a bit sketchy? Anybody want to talk about that?
I wouldn't warn the hiring manager, but I would take that into my evaluation of the quality of the candidates.
Why wouldn't you warn the hiring? I would warn the hiring manager. I'd say, I really like this guy, but I got to tell you, when we got off almost on the wrong foot. Well,
yes, okay, but that means your other candidates are really lousy. If you've got a choice of decent candidates, just push them a bit lower down the pile.
Okay. Anybody else want to comment? Obviously, Gavin and I disagree. Ernie, do you want to get in
Proper and
there?
brilliant.
What?
That's proper and brilliant.
What's proper and brilliant?
What Gavin said.
So just demote the good candidate. Okay. Now, this candidate is
He's not
like
a good candidate. You've just said yourself, he loses his temper way too quickly.
I think he's a good candidate, but you know what they call people who are hard to get along with, but they're really technically good, brilliant jerks. And we talked about it just a while ago, that you're going to lose more money by bringing a brilliant jerk into your team than, getting someone who's got a personality that's a bit more amiable. Okay. Even if they're not as smart. Okay. The thing is, this guy, I don't consider that behavior that jerky. Okay. There might be a reason for it. He did apologize, but I might give a heads up and say, he might be a bit temperamental. I'm not sure.
It really goes on with what happens afterwards.
Yeah.
How much of a conversation you have when you really figure them out. Because sometimes you don't know what people are going through at that moment and why you might have had.
Like I was complaining, I have a sore back, although this is a healing show. Okay. Since we started talking, I haven't thought about my back very much. Okay.
That's because you're sensitive. That's because you're very sensitive.
The pain will come back after the show's over. But how was I going to relate that to what Ernie said about seeing what happens?
What's happening?
I don't know. Okay. Does anybody agree that he had a good reason to get angry because there's so many stupid recruiters bugging people? Does anybody think that's legitimate?
There are many stupid recruiters bugging people.
And so you could understand and give somebody a break if they.
What's our attitude when somebody calls us just as a spam?
Yeah.
What's our attitude? And it's the same thing.
Yeah, but the thing is,
not just recruiters, but marketing calls as well.
Okay, another invisible. She is an angel. Okay, there you go. Okay, up in the clouds. Okay, thank you, Sasha. Okay, anybody else got an issue? We've got just a few minutes left, or should we all wave goodbye? Anybody got an issue? Nobody. It's all on me. Hey, everybody, I carry the weight of the world on this show. Once I
have an issue, and I have a hot issue. Okay,
go ahead.
I got instruction coming from upper management that if I like a certain candidate, that I should schedule a second interview with hiring manager immediately during the initial interview. I think that, in my opinion, that creates a bad image of a company. It basically sends out a message, we are desperate to hire, which puts a candidate in a better position to negotiate. Now, what are your thoughts?
Gavin.
Are you desperate?
Great question. Sorry, Ernie, were you going to answer?
No, I'm just going to say, she says, it makes it sound like we're a desperate company. I ask, are you desperate?
No,
Well,
I would like to hear,
exactly it.
what would you conclude out of that? If I conduct an interview.
Yeah, we got it. I understand what you're up to. My thing is, I think it's a great idea because the candidate, hey, you're great. I love you. Let's do it right now. I think it's great. Anybody else want to say Anything?
I agree with you. It shows it shows that you know your client well enough and that it's going to move forward. And the second thing is it shows that you can take initiative. And the third thing is it shows that you're well organized. Perfect. But use the right words. Don't go, oh yeah, let's do an interview. No, use the right words. Make it positive for them. I will make sure we get this interview. Come on, let's do it. We like you, blah, blah, blah. But do it in a positive way that doesn't make you sound like you're desperate.
Yeah, she doesn't sound like a desperate, but she sounds like a tough cookie. They're going to get that message from her. Ernie, do you want to add to that?
No, I think Gavin gave a good answer to that. You gotta go ahead and do the right thing. And
what about our man in Havana? Okay, David M. Marr on the inside. What about you? Do you got anything to say?
No, I think if you can get interviews with the hiring managers faster, I think that helps you fill your roles quicker.
Why do people say no and then they tell you what they no, I think. Yeah, no, I think. Sasha, is that an answer? We all think you're wrong, okay? And your upper management is right. Did you get the message?
To give you a better perspective, right? Please remember that we are not a recruiting company. I'm an internal HR. It doesn't matter.
We understand that. No, David's not
Sasha, there's no way, like, still, actually, especially if you in this market where every company basically is, really bad at hiring, it takes a million years, days pass. It's like, scheduling an interview, going to an interview, doing all the recruitment stuff. It's like going to the gym. Like, nobody wants to like do it, and but everybody wants to have the results, right? So if you manage to push this through, I can't see how a candidate might think, oh, they are like desperate. Maybe someone, but like in this market, these people, they are treated not well, right? It's like takes a million years, all that. So I think the default is it will be like a positive light, that you are like really want to move fast and appreciate the person and all that. I would say like there's usually more upside to this than what you are afraid of.
I had a flash. It's like somebody saying, hey, you want to go on a date with me? And they say yes. And they go, no, I don't want to go on a date with you because you're desperate.
Okay, but she should be free. She should be free to discover this herself. Maybe she's got a unique point of view, and none of us agree with her. But do it if you think it's right. Thank you for bringing that forward, Sasha. We can take that up again another week. Gavin Johnston. It's Johnston, okay? And it's everything about recruitment.com. Please go buy everything about recruiting.com as well. You can afford it. Food industry recruiter, the great Ernie Moreno, David M. Marr, AMRR, our man on the inside, and Ivan, who's been there, I think, all the time and didn't say a peep when we were talking about his issue. Klang, KLANG.SO, and Sasha, the great Sasha Tesanovic. Thank you. Bye, everybody.